Hello and welcome back to another edition of KitPlus TV, where we've been talking to the people in the industry making the hardware, software and any other solutions we all need right now to allow us to make the programs we do.
Yes, at the start of lockdown 1.0, when we were in a different studio, John Pratchett was not so busy, he could still present with us, and Calrec was telling us about Assist UI and how they were coping with the new COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah, so we welcome back in the studio Kevin Emmott from Calrec, all the way from Hebden Bridge, to give us the latest on the evolution of the remote working solutions they do, and maybe the future of IP workflows and anything new that was only a plan when we last spoke.
Hello, Simon. Hello, Matt. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too.
So, how have things changed for Calrec since we last spoke? Kevin?
Well, the last time we spoke, which seems an awful long time ago now, we were talking about remote production and remote working. And at the start of all this, the first lockdown, there was a lot of talk about virtualized production, so graphical user interfaces. And it was really a quick and easy way to get up and running. And it was really more out of necessity. But during the summer, what we've seen is more and more sophisticated methods of remote working. And that distinction between remote working and remote production now is becoming less clear, really.
So, although Kevin, it's lovely to see a trade show backdrop behind you. Let's get back to basics and clarify the difference between remote working and remote production. Exactly what each one really is.
Okay. Well, it's about where you sit, really, and where the processing core is in relation to that. So are you at a production center mixing remotely, or are you in a bedroom wearing your slippers using a GUI or a smaller desk or some other hardware? And this is where we've seen it get complicated this year, is it both? So to clarify from an audio perspective, remote production is about capturing audio at the venue to create no latency IFB mixes for the talent on site. So instead of sending teams of people in OB trucks, it's about maybe sending a small team of people to multiple sites, and then you mix all those at a dedicated studio where the processing core is located. So in an acoustically treated environment, and that's really efficient because it saves shipping people and it saves shipping kit to multiple venues. So there's less people there. You might send a smaller truck there where all the mixing and control of that is done at a studio. And the difference between that and remote working is very different. Remote working is where a mixer is sat at home and is some distance from the processing core, and they might be using some small pieces of hardware or a web GUI or something like that. So the core could be in a studio, or it could be in an OB truck. So it could be located at a venue. And that's the sort of thing we were helping customers with at the beginning of the year, early on in lockdown. So people like BOB in France, they were using a Type R console at home, and the core was at the studio. And people like Tall Audio, who were using Brio consoles in their garage to mix BT Sport and live football. And the more and more customers, I think, have spoken to us about this sort of workflow, especially in sports, as sports has tried to continue to go. But workflows are never that simple. So, for example, we've had a customer who's very recently who has been mixing at home, but connected to a core that's in a production studio, which is doing remote production from a venue. There's no simple workflow to this. And another thing we've been doing is we've been working with a company called PRG in the US at a remote production model where they have an Artemis surface in LA, and that was controlling an Artemis core that was in Tulsa. And so over public internet. So obviously latency was an issue over public internet, but over a dedicated line, that's down to about 50 milliseconds from LA to New York. And what that does, that allows people to be able to mix in a safe environment And it gives you lots and lots of levels of redundancy, because if the link goes down, you've still got Calrec Assist, which is our web GUI, and if that goes down, you've still got physical control on the actual desk in Tulsa. So there's 3 levels of security. So it opens up a lot more possibilities for people.
Mm.
So when we last spoke, a lot of this would have been a little bit of, we can do this in principle, and you might have done 1 or 2 cases, but in the last, has it been 12 months? Not quite 12 months. The last 8 or 9 months, have you implemented quite a few of these? Has it proven quite popular?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's we've implemented. We've helped customers to keep working over proprietary networks and over IP networks, and it's definitely something that's here to stay. So our customers have been working remotely. It's enabled us to work more remotely, which is something that we'll continue to look at. So we've done a lot of customer support remotely. We've done remote commissioning. We've done software upgrades. We've done remote diagnostics, and that will definitely continue. And a lot of this, the move to SIP-T 2110 for our industry has been crucial to a lot of this. So another thing we've been doing this year, we've started shipping our Impulse cores, which is our next generation DSP core, which is based on an IP backbone, and we've been shipping more and more Type R, and all of those products are IP, so they're all SIP-T 2110 compliant, and also NMOS, which brings together the discovery and connection management on a network. And most of the technology we've been working with as an industry, I think, over the last few years has been about replacing those traditional tie lines, BNC cable or XLR cable, and it's all been about getting signals over a network. And what we've proved, I think, now, and it's accelerated massively this year, is that works to a large extent. So where we need to go now as an industry is stream management and connectivity over those long distances. And we believe Calrec for that, NMOS, is vital for that. So NMOS is the mechanism for discovery and advertisement. That's NMOS ISO 4, and connection management, which is ISO 5. And that simplifies things for customers massively, and it will allow more of this, more experimentation with remote working, because it means that users don't have to log in to each device on a network to configure it. They can have a user-friendly device which is capable of routing streams from loads of different manufacturers.
So a lot of manufacturers, Kevin, they sort of plan their product announcements, releases, and other things around the 2 major trade shows every year in April and September. How have you been sort of making your customer base aware of new things, and what else have you been up to this year?
Well, good question. And actually, I miss these things, and hopefully we'll get back to these next year, because it's just not seeing people. This year we have taken the opportunity this year to invest more into the company. I think what we're hoping to do is come out of this stronger than ever. So we have new software manager in place. We have a new production manager. We've redesigned our entire production floor so we can have more efficient throughput. And we've been sharing a lot online of people who are going back to work, back to broadcast. So we've been asking people to share their setups with us and sharing those. And actually, those are the things on our social channels that have been the most popular, because I just think because they're positive, because they're good news stories in a very difficult time, where a lot of freelancers aren't able to work because the jobs aren't there. So that's all about celebrating the small stuff, really. But in terms of the most popular thing that we've done, I think, this year is we've changed our emphasis to free training, free certified training. So we have training at Calrec, 7-part. We have a 7-part IP training course, which covers multicast, PTP, network design, and the fundamentals. That's been hugely popular, and also Brio and Type R certified training as well. We've had over 100. We've had over 1,000 people sign up and get certified on those courses. Wow. And they're still available, and they're still free, and they're still very much focused on broadcast. And they're at Calrec.com, and I would have to say it's very easy to sign up and share your certification, and I would urge you to do so.
Before we let you go, we did pre-warn you about this. We've been asking all our guests to tell us something they have done or like to do outside of the proper job that people may not already know. What you got?
What have I got? Well, outside of work, I like to collect items that people have thrown out and then turn those into guitars. So I've made almost 50 guitars over the past few years out of bits, and they are all over the globe. One is owned by a Grammy award-winning musician, which is amazing. It's still amazing to me, and it's a lot of fun, especially for a failed musician such as myself.
It can't be that bad. And there we go. And there is one. One is owned also by my household. My wife uses the ukulele that you made.
Yeah, excellent. Glad
Thank
it's still
you very
there.
much.
We won't ask Matt for a.
It is still working.
rendition,
It's still in one piece. No, I can't play. No.
Thank you for watching today, and thanks of course to Kevin for coming on the show again. To see all of our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to KitPlus TV, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy, and you can find out more about them at Mediaproxy.com. Thanks for watching.
I wouldn't even know where to strum because it's not